Additions and home remodeling. Our lives have changed. We're making our homes more of an oasis. Call the right place. Call the right people. Eric at EJD Construction for over 16 years. A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
Inter Miami CF fans, join us at our new home this season for all away games as we broadcast live at Dangerous Minds Brewing Company, 1901 North Federal Highway in Pompano Beach. Join Big O and Alex Dono for the live pregame, halftime, and postgame shows while we watch the games. Enjoy meticulously brewed beer on site, delicious artisanal pizzas, live music, and giveaways. So, the new home for all Inter Miami road games is at Dangerous Minds Brewing Company at the Pompano City Mall, where they'll feature all the Inter Miami games. Follow them on Twitter at Dangerous Minds B and Facebook and Instagram at Dangerous Minds Brewing, and visit them at dangerousmindsbrewing.com.
BYB Extreme Bare Knuckle Fighting Series presents BYB 5. Saturday, May 15th at the fair at Tamiami Park. We start out 5,000. See bare knuckle brawlers fight live in BYB's patented triangle ring, the Trigon. The smallest and most confrontational ring in combat sports. Early action includes slap fights as seen on YouTube. Buy your tickets now at BYBtickets.com for BYB 5. Saturday, May 15th. Doors open at 6 p.m. BYB is proudly sponsored by BMCHam.com. Your choice for gold and silver. BMCHam.com.
OnSideRadio.com knows gamers need a home.
Can you dig it?
That's why for the next 60 seconds,
Can you count, suckers?
here's your Onside Radio E-Report with Kai Chen Chisholm.
The new Valorant update dropped yesterday on Tuesday, which featured a brand new map called Breeze. The long-waited and expected map has been coming for some time, as the last time that the game updated and brought something new map-wise was when they brought Icebox a few updates ago. The new season and battle pass in this new act will last for 55 days, and it's been highly anticipated for the skin packs that Valorant has been able to bring, as well as just the battle passes that they've been able to have as well. Fans have been looking forward to having something new and fresh inside the game, and they'll be very, very happy to be able to get on, download the update, and play with their friends.
Stay in touch in the world of gaming with the Onside Radio E-Report. Time to talk all things Florida Panthers with insider David Dwork. It's the ice time you've been waiting for, Panthers fans. Here's your host, David Dwork, with Chirping the Cats Radio.
Good morning, hockey fans! Chirping the Cats Radio, back on the air once again. It's a beautiful Saturday morning here in sunny Fort Lauderdale. Coming to you live, high atop Drive Pink Stadium, as they're getting it ready for, Montreal Impact have a game today. Inter Miami's on the road this weekend. They got a nice win last week, so good for Inter Miami, as it's great to be coming to you from this beautiful venue, and a beautiful man sitting next to me, joining me riding shotgun for today's Chirping the Cats radio show. Ian Margle from Local 10, a fellow hockey savant, a fellow hockey...
Savant feels generous.
Yeah, a connoisseur.
Nut.
Goaltender?
That I am. Was.
So Ian's in the house today, and we've got a lot of fun stuff to get into. First and foremost, Ian, let's talk about Spencer Knight, because I know that as goaltenders, we're both been salivating a little bit just with the concept of the Panthers having one of the best goalie prospects that there is.
Sure.
Him signing after playing amazingly, both at Boston College and at the international level with Team USA at a couple World Juniors in a row.
Absolutely.
And now he's here.
That he is. And he has announced himself quite nicely.
Yeah. To take a phrase from another classic film, he's announcing his presence with authority. Look, it's historic what he's done. The NHL sent out a tweet the other day saying that he's the second youngest goaltender ever to win his first 3 appearances.
And the first goaltender ever born in the 2000s to play in the NHL, which makes me feel just a little bit old.
Yeah, he was born right around when I was graduating high school. That feels... And now I'm like interviewing him and trying to like study the way he plays. It's the circle of life, man. It's great.
It is absolutely incredible. Thank you, Abel. It is absolutely incredible to see what he's been able to do. He does not look like a rookie at all. 3-0-0 in his first, 2 starts, came on in relief of Bob.
That was impressive in and of itself, that relief appearance, only the 20-minute game, because here he comes, like, didn't even think he was in a dress. We found out that, Dreeder got a little banged up. So all of a sudden, he goes from just being on the road trip to, okay, now you have to dress and possibly play again, to you're going into a hostile environment in Nashville. Because, they're one of the arenas that does have a decent amount of fans.
Yes.
And Nashville is a tough place to play generally. The fans are right on top of you. It's not the biggest of buildings. It gets very loud. They scream at the goalies.
I was going to say, let up a goal and then see how.
Yeah.
And they will make sure they are there.
Well, Knight didn't have to deal with that because he went out there and he pitched a shutout in the third period and
earned the win.
I'm just impressed. Like when you watch him play, if you're studying for like technicalities and stuff, you can see that there's obviously things that the 20-year-old can improve upon. Sure. But looking at him in a game situation on the ice, I mean, you heard Q talk about it over and over. His composure, his poise. Like, he is so chill in the net. He is more chill than most men's league goalies I've seen. I mean, he is out there just having fun. You can see him cheesing through his mask. He's smiling. In that sense, he kind of reminds me of like a Tim Thomas.
I knew you were going to say that because and I've heard you talk about this before, that Tim Thomas basically taught you how to enjoy.
Loosen up.
Right.
Like, just relax out there.
Spencer Knight not only looks like he is comfortable, not only looks like he belongs there, but he looks like he's having an absolute blast. And good for him, he should be.
Oh, man.
He is... sure, there was some rebound control issues in the first appearance, but that was probably more nerves than anything else.
I think we've shown that it is because they've kind of dissipated. His rebound control has been much better.
Yeah, absolutely. And how apparent was that in the Nashville game when Bob was struggling to control any rebound, and we can get into that in a moment. But immediately, and I texted you about this, and you again showing that we have the same brain.
Yeah.
Apparently, you had tweeted about it like 2 seconds before I texted you. As soon as Knight came in, he makes a pad save down in the butterfly, and you see the puck immediately deflect directly into the corner. And that is exactly what rebound control
away
is
from the middle of the
look
ice.
Like. Not exactly what had been happening the rest of that game.
No, I think I want to say it was the last goal Nashville scored, where the
third goal Nashville scored.
The third goal Nashville scored. I think it was Johansson that came down the slot with the puck. He shot it like right into Bob's midsection, and he somehow pushed his glove so the puck went straight back out into the slot. And no screen. I mean, I get it. It's a tough shot from 10, 15 feet away, but when you're
the shot shouldn't have happened.
Well, you should be able to handle it a little bit better than saying, here, have another shot.
Correct.
Here's your shot back. I'm going to go down to my butterfly and be out of position now. Have another chance.
Oh, I was saying the second shot never should have happened. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, it was. I mean, the fourth goal, we both agreed Bob couldn't have done much about that. That was just a beautiful shot. But
the one-timer in the last minute.
I mean, that of the 4 goals that Bob let up in those 2 periods, that was the one that I said, you know what, I'm not sure what he could have done there. It was
I think at that point it was just the 4th goal in like 14 shots, and the team just wasn't responding.
Correct.
And I mean, you heard Sam Bennett say after the last game, the game in Chicago, that like when Knight goes out there, he said that they're confident, they're electrified, like they get energy from that. And I mean, look, they're going to give you that lip service no matter who you're talking to, but you don't have to go out of your way to make those kind of compliments. And I just think you can see whether it's not going to be something that, when you say that the team plays a little differently for a different goaltender, it's not like it's something planned. It's never, ever, ever like a team talks about we're going to play this way for one goalie. And this, it's not how it works. But when you can see just the mindset of a team, when you can see that they're more confident, like you can just tell that it's a different ambiance. It's a different like infusion. I'm not coming up with the right word here, but like they just look differently. They look more confident. You've seen it with Dreeder last year, especially when Dreeder came in late in the year before he got that lower body injury. It was like, oh wow, this team has really picked it up a notch.
Correct. And here's the thing. You heard Goldie say it in that game. You heard Goldie say it when he said, sometimes 3 goals needs to be enough. When you're playing a guy like Saros, who has been one of the best goaltenders in the league in the last.
That poor guy had like a ridiculous game and still gave up, what was it, 6 goals?
7 goals. Gave up 7, 6 and
Yeah, the empty netter. But I'm saying, like, when you think of that game in Saros, you're like, oh man, he played amazing.
He played
gave up 6
unbelievable.
goals.
So, but that's what Steve Goldstein was saying, was sometimes when you're playing a goaltender like that, that needs to be enough. You need to get the help from your goalie so that when you're playing an unbelievable, I mean, I don't know if anyone would call UC Saros an unbelievable goaltender, but he's been playing
this season.
He's been playing unbelievably this season. Specifically, the last few months, he's been ridiculous. So he's been absolutely ridiculous. And so sometimes it does need to be enough, and sometimes you need that backstop. And Spencer Knight didn't get tested unbelievably against Nashville in that third period of play. He had a couple leg saves that kept them. Especially when they only had a 1-goal lead at that point when he made those leg saves down on pad saves on the.
Well, they were behind
side.
when he came in. I mean,
right, they were behind when they came in. They scored a couple goals after Vetrano took the lead. After Vetrano scored to take the lead. Now we'll talk about that goal in a little bit because I want to talk about Heponiemi at some point.
Okay. We're going to.
Beautiful. After they took the lead, Spencer Knight made a couple big saves. But you know what? He wasn't tested that much, but he made the saves he was supposed to make, and especially that night, that game, you weren't expecting Bob to make the saves he was supposed to make.
Well, that's the problem, and that's what I was thinking watching Knight against Chicago.
Sure.
Was that he's making these saves that we would not be confident or comfortable with Bob making, and he's making those saves look easy.
Yeah.
And like I mean it in terms of the way. When he's making a save, when he's going down into his butterfly, when he's moving his arms around, he does it. There's no unnecessary movements. Everything looks in control. He looks like he's not having to move that much when he does it. Whereas with Bob, and every goalie's different. This isn't a knock on Bob. This is his style, but he's much more of a flailing goaltender, much more of a dynamic goaltender. He relies on his flexibility.
Sure.
Because even like when he makes a sliding side-to-side save, oftentimes his stick is going flying in the corner, his arms are kind of going, and that's fine as long as he's making the save. And you think Dominik Hasek made, a Hall of Fame career out of looking like a total jackass on the ice, and he made it beautiful because he was Hasek and he was amazing.
Right.
But with Knight, everything is so locked in and controlled, and even the save he made on DeBrincat, the side-to-side save, even that was a spectacular save.
Was that on Hinestroza or DeBrincat?
No, it was in 12.
It was on
DeBrincat. He also had one on Hinestroza.
Yeah.
But no, I'm and either one really, because when you're just making those side-to-side movements, he's just like a quick little slide. He doesn't even go on his belly much, and then he pops right back up and he's good to go. It's just I'm at this point, I need to see what else there is with this kid. And granted, it's going to take a while.
Oh,
he's
absolutely.
only 20 years old, but wow.
And he just turned 20. So here's my question.
Yeah, he was 19
right.
2 weeks ago.
He just turned 20. So do the Panthers have a goaltending issue right now? Do they have? I mean, what do they do?
That's a great question. Yeah, you have to think, like, okay, just looking past this season, you figure Tris Drieger is going to get paid and go somewhere else.
And good for him. He should.
By all means, go start somewhere and have an amazing career. He deserves it. He's worked hard for it.
Absolutely.
But he won't probably not be here next year.
Right.
So it's going to be Bob and another goalie. So you think at this moment that the plan would be to go into camp and let Knight and Monty see what happens.
Sure.
Maybe they bring in another veteran. I don't know. Montembeault has had a solid year in the AHL this year.
Yeah.
For sure. He looked good in training camp, as you and I have talked about.
Yes.
So I would say you go into next year feeling good about your young goaltenders, and you hope that Bob doesn't, doesn't regress at least.
Well, let's talk about right now, because the Panthers they've got a playoff spot locked up. We'll talk about, I'm sure we'll talk about seeding and stuff in a little bit, but
eventually we got to stop talking about goaltending at some point.
Wow. This is the Goaltending the Cats podcast, isn't it?
I absolutely figured the first
show.
segment would be all goalie.
Well, just tell me when to shut up and I will. Maybe. What do you do? The Panthers have a playoff spot locked up, which is a sentence I have not said many times in my lifetime. Panthers have a playoff spot locked up. You have a starting goaltender, and I'm throwing this in air quotes, that is not performing. His last 2 starts has not looked good, period. Well, sorry, his last start and when he came in for relief for Drieger, he did not look great. You have Spencer Knight, who is young, who has looked good, but he is a rookie. You don't want him to hit that wall. And you have Chris Drieger, who's clearly dealing with injuries right now because he was out for a couple days. We thought it was just to give Knight a little bit of a chance, but then he gets hurt. Bob has to come in. So clearly Drieger is dealing with something right now.
Yes.
Do you let Knight get some more games as you head into the playoffs? What do you do?
That's the question. And I asked Joel Quenneville this after the Chicago game on Thursday, and I mean, look, typical Q, not really giving a straight answer. He's a pro at dealing with the media.
Correct.
He's just like, we'll see. And he started talking, and I mean, you can see he didn't really have an answer for me because he's like, well, with the schedule with Bob and the back-to-backs, and I'm like, what back-to-backs?
Right, there aren't any more this
You
season.
have like a 4-day gap between games for the first time in forever next week. Like, if you put the better goalie out, and, look, Q's not, in that spot. They've still got to go have discussions. Will I be surprised if we find out in about 2 hours from now if Spencer Knight's playing again tonight? No. Will I be surprised if they send Bob out there to hopefully let him get his shit together and hopefully maybe bounce back ahead of these 3 important home games against Dallas and Tampa? Yeah, I mean, that might be the priority. So it's just a matter of weighing the win in the moment versus potentially getting better for the play. I mean, there's so many options. You can't really fault Q for going either way. But I have a feeling that you and I, if we had a vote, we would both be voting for number 30.
I absolutely would be. And the last thing I want to say is, but do you want to put the kid in the position of you're heading into the playoffs? Okay, what do we do in the playoffs? You know what, kid, you've been great in the last few games, but we're going to go back to our veteran guys. Do you want to put them in that position? I don't know. And honestly, that's why they don't pay me very much to do this. In fact, nothing.
That'll be kind of what we'll have to figure out as we get closer to the playoffs and, see how Knight is run. All right, so that was a lot of goalie talk. We may get back into some more later in the show. On the other side of the break, Ian talked about the young guys. We're going to get into that. I want to talk about Keith Yandel because we just need to do a little venting. We'll have the chirp of the week will come up later as I'm once again angry at these friggin' injuries that are surrounding the team. And we'll go around the pond as well, check in on the standings and see how the Panthers are lining up both for the division and for that first round matchup that they're hopefully going to be getting home ice for. Hey, every day at Onside Radio, our hosts sit down at the round table to tackle the most important local or national sports headlines. The round table is podcasted every day. Just search Onside Radio on all platforms, subscribe, rate, and review to listen to all kinds of station segments. OnsideRadio.com is the home for South Florida sports.
You're listening to Chirping the Cats Radio with David Work. Take Onside Radio, your home for soccer everywhere, with a MyTuner radio app. Find the app at OnsideRadio.com. South Florida's home for real sports talk.
I'm Ryan Seacrest. First responders are people who stand for a greater purpose. They will be there for you when nobody else is, to help you, your family, your community. This is their selfless promise. This is their sworn duty to protect, to serve, to help. They put themselves in harm's way for us. They come to the rescue at times when we need them most. First responders are making enormous personal sacrifices to keep showing up for us and fighting the good fight. Nearly 70% of all firefighters are volunteers. That means when they get injured or quarantined, they may not have a way to pay their rent or keep their family safe and fed. No matter who you are or where you live, when you call 911 and ask for help, first responders show up. Now, let's show up for the people who show up for us every day and every night.
Go to firstrcf.org and make a difference today.
When you want a perfectly straight smile without braces, you can count on MoodyAsDental.com. A stunning smile is within reach. Learn more about Invisalign. Find out why so many trust the Moody Ass family. Dr. Moody Ass is an inventor and has several patents on innovative surgical instruments that are used around the world. Experience a family environment and trust on a worldwide level. From implants to crowns to a beautiful Invisalign smile. Call 305-821-0231. That's 305-821-0231. Or go to the website at MoodyAsDental.com.
When you want local sports, 1260 WLESPN.
We're live and local.
Yes, what she said.
Well, it's what they wrote.
Look at it this way, honey.
Oh, no, here we go.
At some point, this was all live, and wherever it came from, it was local there.
You get that look whenever you stretch the truth or when you need your laxative.
Ain't it awful?
South Florida's choice for sports talk. OnSideRadio.com.
Okay, men. This is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie, and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
Welcome back to Chirping the Cats Radio. To reach out to David, dial 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. Here's Florida Panthers insider David Dwork.
You can watch Onside Radio daily by subscribing to our YouTube and Twitch channels. Search Onside Radio, log on, subscribe, rate, and review Onside Radio on YouTube and Twitch. OnsideRadio.com is South Florida's home for real sports talk. All right, we're going to get away from the goaltending talk for just a few minutes as...
Do we have to?
I don't know, Ian. Look, for the last couple of years, I feel like I've been a big defender of Keith Yandles. I feel like I understood his role and what he brought to the table. Yes, defensively, liability, that much we've known for a while, but he was an elite offensive defenseman. He was great at running power plays. He was great at getting out of your own zone. What's happened to the long stretch passes from below the goal line that he's been known for? It's like everything that I had to defend this guy and what he brought to the table, this year has slowly but surely and steadily dissipated. And I'm at the point now where it's like, I feel like they're just riding out the regular season so this streak doesn't have to die because everybody loves Keith Yandle. And then you assume that when we get to the playoffs, it's going to be another story.
So first of all, I kind of hope so, right? I had someone tweet at me during the game against Chicago and said that I was using him and said that many of us use him as a scapegoat, quote unquote, for bigger issues systematically with the power play. And I said, I don't think those two things have to be mutually exclusive.
No, they're very different things.
I think that, one power play shift during the Chicago game, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Yandle gets a pass back to him at the blue line. Soft pass, nothing crazy. Lets it get past him so it clears out of the zone. We get it back into the zone. There's a good clear out by Chicago. Yandle is lazy to get back. Gets beaten. Chicago gets a shorthanded chance. We get the puck back in. Yandle whiffs on a shot completely. And then they had that crazy shorthanded chance where Knight had to make the ridiculous save. So Knight bailed him out twice. I don't think now they took him off. There were still some shorthanded chances. So clearly there is something wrong systematically with the power play that they can't get back on defense, or they don't get back on defense too fast enough, and there have been too many shorthanded chances. However, as a friend of my family said, who was a big Rangers fan, when the Panthers picked up Yandle, he said, Keith Yandle giveth, Keith Yandle taketh away.
Yeah.
That's what it used to be.
Yes.
Keith
what-
Yandel
before
does
this
a
season.
whole lot more giveth away than he does, or sorry, taketh
Provideth.
away than he does giveth.
No,
So
I'm with you, man.
You know,
It's,
and honestly, I said giveth away because his giveaways, it's just unbelievable. You know, I have been with you through the Yandel defense up until this season. I think I bailed a little bit sooner than you did this season.
I hung on for a little while this because look, early in the year I thought maybe this was just a rust or maybe it was just a downtick. I gave him the benefit of the doubt that he was going to round back into form. 'Cause
Sure.
You talk about these things that happen. Like the lackluster in his own zone in the power play and the whole zone entry attempts in the power play. I feel like Yandel gets more grief with that element because he's such a big part of it because it hasn't changed all year. And I'm really starting to actually, it's funny. I kind of asked Q in a post game recently, specifically about the power play zone entries. And I said, is it getting predictable? Because people know now that Yandel is going to start with the puck and then it's going to Barkey, who's going to have an outlet. Do you feel like it's getting too predictable? And I don't even remember what his answer was. I just wanted him to hear me say, as just a nobody media guy, that I know what you're doing.
We know what you're doing.
And again, they probably know this.
I'm sure they know.
It just got stale. And Yandel, as if he didn't have enough issues, was like the focal point of this growingly predictable power play entry. And I mean, you saw Carolina was all over it last week. But the other element that you were talking about, his play at the blue line once they're in the zone, it used to be sharp as a tack. The puck would come his way, it'd be on his stick, it'd be moving, he'd make dangles at the blue line.
Sure.
Now it's like he's fumbling at the blue line. It's almost like a ritual for there to be a shorthanded breakaway because there's some issue where either he can't control a pass, he whiffs on a shot. It's just these little mistakes that are just growing and compounding that he didn't used to make. That was why we could defend Keith Yandel. So all the good things that he used to do, that kind of, as you said, giveth and taketh away, that made up for it, they're not happening anymore.
Right. And here's the thing. I know that plus minus is not a perfect statistic. It is far from it. He's minus 11. It's bad. When you look at, and
Actually,
again,
not that bad. I would have expected it to be like twice as bad.
Well, it's minus 11, but when you compare it to the rest of the team, it's not.
It's not like Mackenzie Weegar, who's like a plus 15.
Sure, but also it's not bad for what we are normally used to with the Florida Panthers. This is a good Florida Panthers team that has won most of their games.
Yeah, and Yandel's actually benefiting from that.
Sure. They are giving him less than 12 and a half minutes per game on average at this point. They clearly don't trust him.
It was like closer to 18 when the season started.
I'm looking at numbers from Natural Stat Trick. He's got 185 offensive zone starts, 148 neutral zone starts, and 35 defensive 35 defensive zone starts. Now, obviously, that's not a perfect metric either because that doesn't include on the fly changes, but nonetheless, clearly when they are starting in the defensive zone, they don't want him out there.
No.
And he was never a great defensive defenseman, period. Like, that's never been his game. That's never been his calling card. We knew that. But,
he was great at fueling the offense out of the defensive zone.
It got into a point. 2 seasons ago, he had 223 defensive zone starts. Now, I know that there's a lot more games, but we're talking 35.
Yeah.
Let's double that, right? Let's
2
double
years
it,
ago,
right?
he was also paired up with Aaron Ekblad.
Sure.
Which...
Yeah, well, and you need Aaron Ekblad on defensive zone starts, but nonetheless, so let's think about it. Let's just double. Let's, for argument's sake, double that 35, right? Let's say longer season. Let's just double it. So 70. That's still
very low.
Very, very low for one of your top 4 defensemen.
Well,
supposedly.
Anymore.
I get the Iron Man streak. I get that it's a big locker room deal, but I don't.
For those wondering, Yandel is up to 918 games. The record that Doug Jarvis set back in 1775 or whenever it was is 964. So Yandel is about 46 away, if my bad math is correctly.
If your bad math is correctly, wow. Yeah. I didn't hear the numbers clear enough to.
I don't
check
read
on your
or
math,
write
but
for a living.
The grammar, I didn't have to listen that clearly. So.
All right, we've bagged on Yandel enough. Let's talk about something positive. Let's talk about how hot Jonathan Huberdeau has been lately.
are we talking about Jonathan Huberdeau, what he looks like?
No, that wouldn't be lately, right? That would just be
fair enough.
But no, I mean, since mid-March, he's been cooking. The last couple weeks, he's taken it to another level.
Yeah.
What is it? He's got 16 points over his last 10 games, which right there, that's like, okay. Oof. Over his last 6 games, he has 12 points. He's averaging 2 points per game over the last 2 weeks.
That is unbelievable. And I mean, there's a clear turning point, right? The turning point is bringing in Sam Bennett. I mean, that there's a clear catalyst there. Sam Bennett has been a revitalization this season for Jonathan Huberdeau, who I think both of us, and I think you'll agree with me, Hubie has had some really awesome streaks, and he happens to be on right now. He has had some real bummer streaks this season too, and a few games in a row where he had too many giveaways, a few games in a row where just he didn't look like himself.
Yeah, didn't have that confidence that.
But then they changed up that second line, and my goodness, well, how good it has been for him, and how much of it was Duclair helping him out, it was hard to say. But then they took Duclair off that second line, and they still produced. I mean, Sam Bennett and Jonathan Huberdeau are a match made in Florida Panthers heaven right now. And so I am thrilled to see that. I hope that when Verhaeghe comes back, we see a little more consistency in the top 6, and we really see what they're going to go into the playoffs with. But I feel good about this second line, a lot better than I did for some stretches of this season.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously Sam Bennett has been a huge part of that. I know it's just nice to see Huberdeau hitting that stride.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, that stride. This is a new stride for him, but I mean, this is the perfect time of the year to do it. And he even said, like, after the last game, for him, it's more, he feels better when the team is doing better. So when the team is performing, it's easier. It kind of goes hand in hand for him, which is a good thing. And you mentioned Anthony Duclair. One thing that I like about Duclair that I've noticed more and more of late is he's showing up more in the defensive zone. He's showing up more as a back checker.
Sure.
He mentioned recently that he's really been trying to work on that element of his game, which, I mean, you kind of knew because you can't sign with the Panthers. You can't play for a Joel Quenneville team and not have that.
Not play two ways.
Yeah, when he signed here, it was like, okay, how is, you assume when he chose Florida, and I think we talked about this a while back, he had to have known what he was getting into.
Right.
But it's amazing. A guy that fast, we've seen him cutting down the wings with the puck and creating offense. To see him back checking with that kind of speed, and to see him going below the goal line and fueling their outlets, it's given another dimension. And to that line particularly was where it started.
Oh, absolutely, and that's absolutely huge for. It's absolutely huge for that line. I mean, he is. It's not a question that he's the fastest guy on the team, straight line speed. I don't think it's a question. Verhaeghe's very fast.
Faster than Vetrano, for sure.
Vetrano and Verhaeghe are very fast, but straight line speed, I think Anthony Duclair is the fastest person on the ice for most games.
Yeah.
Seeing him have that well-rounded game is exactly what we needed to see, and I think, to your point, I'm not sure that Q would have it any other way. So thrilled to see it. He's been an awesome piece, and he should be a piece for a long time.
Before we hit the break in a second, I'm going to throw out one stat, and I'll let you chew on it during the break. Anthony Duclair's season-high plus-minus was his rookie year with Arizona in 2015-16. It was a +12. That's the only year in his career that he's been above plus-minus. This year, he's a +22. I'm just going to leave that there.
That's okay. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. Hey, every Saturday at 11 a.m., soccer fans can connect with Austin Robillard and Red Card Radio. From the Premiership to the MLS, catch up with your favorite team, including our very own Inter Miami CF. Listen to Red Card Radio every Saturday, coming up next from 11 to 1 p.m. with Austin Robillard, exclusively at OnsideRadio.com.
That's Radio with David Work. Take Onside Radio, your home for soccer everywhere, with a MyTuner radio app. Find the app at OnsideRadio.com. South Florida's home for real sports talk.
Hey, it's Big O for EJD Construction, your custom home builder, additions and home remodeling. Our lives have changed. We're making our homes more of an oasis. Call the right place. Call the right people. Eric at EJD Construction for over 16 years. A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
There are those who dedicate themselves to a sense of honor, to a life of courage, and a commitment to something greater than themselves. They have always defended this nation and each other. They still do. The few, the proud, the Marines.
WLEN, broadcasting from a largely empty building. And we do sports.
It's just not local.
Shush, honey.
Why is the building empty?
Because whether it be budget cuts or stupid management, we've fired almost everybody.
Ooh, but we still have our job live and local.
At least the building is.
We've got your sports.
South Florida's choice for sports talk. OnSideRadio.com.
It's toast. When South Floridians need hurricane windows, there's only one crew to call, Brett and Tom at B&T Windows and Doors. They came to the crib last year, installed PGT windows and doors, and now I'm set. No more plywood, no more knuckle-busting wing nuts. PGT windows and doors will keep me and my family safe the next time a named storm comes rolling on through. Call B&T today, 954-233-0126, or bntwindowsanddoors.com. And P.S., do me a favor, tell them you heard about them on OnSideRadio.com.
If you're looking for a change from the everyday restaurant,